decades in the wrestling business. Former three-time WWE NXT champion, former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Ring of Honor World Champion, AEW World Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Sweet Tooth in Peacock's action series Twisted Metal. Please give it up for Samoa Joe! What an awesome reception.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday to Denise over here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Excited to be here, getting to talk with one of my favorites, Samoa Joe, man. How are you?
I'm excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah. You know, I don't know if you got to see, by the way, but the Twisted Metal ice cream truck is right outside the building.
Head outside, have one. I haven't tried one myself. If I might go out a bit later. Try a few too. So if you see me out there, say what's up.
I love it. Well, let's go ahead and get right into it. I want to start off with Twisted Metal because it is such a freaking cool opportunity to go out there and to sort of represent the wrestling world, but in a totally different way. You're like ass kicking, ass Sweet Tooth. Talk to us about what the experience has been like getting to be part of the series.
Obviously, a really, really fun, awesome experience. I think, if anybody's been a gamer, had a PlayStation at any point in time, Twisted Metal was, it came with the system as a default title. It was something that, either you played Warhawk or you played Twisted Metal. So, it was immediately something that I kind of was really excited to be a part of. And, the experience was great. To go around in an ice cream truck with a clown mask and shoot stuff up and jump cars through buildings and stuff. It's a dream come true. I can't really say it any different way.
Yeah, it's funny because you like the way you say it, like in the clown mask with the ice cream truck. Like, who would have thought that pairing would be totally kick-ass? But when you are in the wrestling ring and then when you're doing something on the set, two totally different worlds. Talk to us about the differences between being on set and then, of course, how it differentiates from pro wrestling.
So the biggest difference between acting and pro wrestling is acting is an exercise in stamina. You have to do the same performance over and over again for multiple takes, multiple angles, keep the same energy, keep the same kind of performance together, over a long period of time. Whereas pro wrestling is a one-stop shop. You only get one chance to do it. It's live on TV. If you mess it up, you messed it up bad, and you messed it up in front of the world. And if you nail it, you nail it. So it's stamina versus kind of being on the spot and being in a high pressure situation.
What was your favorite scene to do? Like your favorite action scene, or what was the part where you're like, oh man, I can't believe I'm going to do this right now?
Day one, I'm on set. I'm sitting in the ice cream truck, which is pretty cool. And they go, hey, listen, we're going to drive the truck through that billboard. We're going to blow it up and we're going to jump it over a ramp. Do you want to be in the car? And I was like, yes, I want to be in the car. What do you get? Does anybody else have to be in here? Can I? They go, well, we're gonna have a stunt driver with you, but you're in the car. You got this? Yeah, I got this, man. I'm in. So yeah, day one on the set, they let me jump a car through a billboard and blow it up. Yeah, man, I was hooked. I was ready to do the part.
Okay, so now I'm curious, and I think a lot of people have wondered this, is what do you think it would be like if in some crazy universe we got Sweet Tooth versus Samoa Joe?
Ooh, it's tough. Needles is pretty impervious to everything. I don't think I'd have a shot. It'd be really rough. I think he'd take me out pretty quick, but only because he has a ice cream truck with machine guns on it and I don't, so that's the main kind of factor.
I was gonna say, well, maybe it depends. We can switch up the stipulation. We can do something to maybe give you a better advantage.
I don't know what man you're talking about. See, Sweet Tooth's a very demented individual, not really good with the rule sets, so I don't think that would really matter.
Yeah, either way, you're like, I'm done. All right, so I know everybody here is wondering, season 2 details. What can you tell us?
Everything. I'm so glad you guys are here. Get out your phones. I want this to be on the internet. I will say this. We've shifted to production up to Toronto. I know it's going to be a much greater, much bigger spectacle, and I know that we're definitely going to be bringing some of your fan favorite characters to the screen in this next season that you may not have seen in season 1.
How do you prepare for a role like that?
Honestly, between our stunt team and all the guys that kind of get the show ready, it's pretty easy. I mean, we have a really excellent crew, and they make sure we're all geared up and ready for all the crazy action stuff that we end up doing.
That's so awesome. All right, so I do want to go ahead and switch gears over to some AEW conversation. All right, how many AEW fans do we got in here right now? Yeah! All right, well, man, where do I begin here? All right, let's start off with, you just came off of a run, 113 days as AEW World Champion. Joe, what did it mean to you to be able to win the World Championship in a company like AEW, and then considering some of the other big World Championships you've won throughout your career?
Obviously, to be a part of AEW now and its growing infancy is kind of something I've done throughout my career. I was with TNA in its infancy, ROH very much so. So, to be a part of another legacy of a company trying to break through and make its way in the world, it means a tremendous amount to me. And especially when you look at the talent that we have on our roster, the amazing grapplers that we employ that I compete against, it made the victory that much better and mean that much more.
Man, and that match with Swerve, getting to watch that was so much fun. What was going through your mind? Like, what goes through your mind now? Obviously, having been in the business for so long, do you still get nervous?
No. I mean, that's from a lifetime of kind of being on stage and being in front of people. And, I wouldn't call it nerves. There's only just anticipation. I'm kind of anticipating, going out there and performing and being in front of people. So, yeah, there's definitely not any nervousness left. And when it comes to, competing with guys like Swerve, tremendous, amazing young talent who's, looking to make his mark in the industry. It's those type of matchups that excite me, where I'm getting a chance to work with guys who are coming into their own. And Swerve very much so is.
Well, speaking of guys that you get to work with and then come into their own, and obviously you won the title from MJF, but you also got to work with Hangman Page, Wardlow, Hook. Talk to us about those matches, those feuds, those defenses.
I think all those gentlemen are very indicative of the future of this industry, and I know that I was crafted by a lot of the great wrestlers that I got to face in my younger days, and they helped leave an influence on me. Guys like Shinya Hashimoto, Yoshiaki Fujiwara, Shinjiro Otani, Masato Tanaka. I mean, these early matches for me, made all the difference in the world as far as my development, and I just, kind of hope to be that for a lot of these guys.
No, man, it's been so cool. And I know everybody here watching, by the way, can we take a second to talk about your matches that you had with Darby Allin? Oh my God, those were insane. I mean, and from just watching, I kind of felt like, oh man, I was going, Samoa Joe's having the time of his life right now. Talk to us about those matches and getting to do those.
Obviously, if anybody here is familiar with Darby, he's a very, very difficult individual to talk off a cliff, and many aspects. Darby's one of those, performers who, very much puts more than just his heart and soul into his performances and gives tremendously of his body. And for me, I'm always up for creating a little mayhem and making sure a match looks a little extra violent, a little bit more destructive. And you put those two things together, it's usually a pretty dynamic combination, and you get what me and Darby doing the ring. So yeah, I mean, it was a blast working with a performer who is giving so much of himself, and you just want to match that effort.
Man, those were incredible. Now, I do want to go ahead and touch on a little bit about AEW as a whole, because you've been now with the company for a couple of years, and to be able to be part of a company that is growing and, really making it in all the things that they've been doing, getting to go to Wembley, all of that, and having been in the business for as long as you have, Joe, and being and working with so many different promotions, how does AEW compare? How does your experience within the promotion sort of continue to expand your career and your vision of what you want to keep doing?
Well, I think my time at AEW has been fantastic. I've had a blast working with many of the talent that I do work with. Tony, very much believes in giving, people with the know-how enough freedom and ability to kind of go out there and shine the way they know how to. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that when it comes to AEW, the onus is very much on you and your ability to go out there and produce and be a success, and to bring ideas forward and kind of dictate your own fate. And that's just a major difference. In other companies, there are a lot of people who are around you who are trying to figure out ways for things to work out for you, figure out ways for storylines to work out for you. And in AEW, you're very much, you're left to your own devices, and you will sink and swim on those devices. And I've always welcomed that environment. I've always enjoyed it. If anybody's going to be responsible for things that go on out there, I want it to be me. So yeah, it works out really well.
It definitely does, man. I've been enjoying to see what everybody has been doing in AEW, including yourself and everything. So I do want to give everybody here the opportunity. We're going to open the floor up to some Q&A. So if you guys have any questions for Samoa Joe, now is your chance. There is a microphone right there, so we'll go ahead and take turns. You know what? And since gentleman right over here, you can go right ahead and take it up first. And if you want to get in a little line or take your turns, that is okay. And we have the microphone right there.
Samoa Joe, if you were to get a Twisted Metal vehicle kitted out for you, what would Samoa Joe drive?
Ooh, good question. I think I'd go with like the old Dodge 4x4, like Hilux pickup truck, the little small ones. Because I swear, my uncle owned one, never changed the oil in it. Never did a damn thing to it, and it wouldn't die, and it ran better than most every other car that I know to this day. So I think I'd start with that for the post-apocalypse, and yeah, you got to go 50 cals. You got to make a dent. You got to get through some engine blocks. So yeah, definitely dual 50 cals on a Toyota Hilux. I think I rule the post-apocalyptic wasteland.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I've thought about this, dog. All right.
Nice to meet you.
Hey Joe, so one of my favorite moves you do is the Muscle Buster, and I want to know what was your inspiration in putting it into your repertoire, whatever that word is.
Repertoire?
Repertoire?
Yeah.
Because the first time I ever saw it was in the video game Tekken, and it looked impossible to produce in real life, and so the way you do, and I think you've modified it over the years, correct? I'm not
sure. I mean, you call it it wasn't consciously, but yeah, I think.
Yeah. And so I was just curious if you were inspired by maybe a Japanese wrestler or if.
Yeah, Kiriko Man. I mean, it was. I was sitting in the 01 dojo in Tokyo, and I remember I was flipping through the various sports magazines, and I think they had like a Kiriko Man advert, and he was hitting the Muscle Buster. Wow. And I'd seen it. I think I'd seen a version of it in Mexico. I think prior once. But I remember joking around, talking to guys in the dojo, saying, it's like, Muscle Buster, very famous. All right, give it a shot. And yeah, I think that's where it came from.
Awesome, love it. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
Joe, long time no see.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. I wanted to ask, of all your moves that I've seen you do over the years, all the way starting out in Ring of Honor, in NXT and WWE, and then even now in AEW, where did you come up with the walk away? Where you have somebody somebody knocked you down, they're going up to the top rope, they're coming down for some sort of aerial move, and then next thing you know, you're like, and the next thing you know, walk away.
Yeah. Listen, you can't take credit. That's just common sense, right? Like, I didn't mastermind that in some room. I said, hey, this guy's coming at me with a lot of speed and velocity. Problem solved. So, yeah, I'm not going to even try to BS you and say, well, I sat up one night studying birds flying from a tree, and a wily squirrel, he kept avoiding them by just walking away. And no, dude, it was just, common sense, man. Get out of the way. They're coming down on you.
Well, you made it look really good in the ring. So.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you got to be stylish, though. I mean, I'll take credit for that.
Thank you, Joe.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Patterson, and if you didn't notice, I have the Twisted Metal, pretty much the sweet tooth.
I have noticed.
I love the character,
Indeed.
and I was, kind of funny thing is that I loved playing Twisted Metal head on, as well as for many fans that may not know, the Small Brawl game.
Small Brawl, yep.
And basically, when you also worked with Will Forte, who was the voice of the character, which was great, and I always wanted to ask this question to you, Joe. When you got the part, were you super excited to play as Sweet Tooth?
Oh, I was beyond excited. I mean, when you look at, video games over the years and all the various Twisted Metal games I played, you know, through Black and beyond. Yeah, I mean, Sweet Tooth's just this iconic video game character. I'm a gamer, you know, and when I think about, you know, PlayStation, and especially the early days, that flaming clown mask kind of comes right to the forefront. So yeah, I was beyond excited.
Oh, thank you very much for answering that. And by the way, I am super excited for season 2.
Thank you, me too.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
Fan since the UPW days.
Thank you, thank you.
I had a Twisted Metal question too, actually. Are we ever going to see a cut with you doing the voice of Sweet Tooth?
Ooh, you know, probably not. But only because, you know, like I said, we were shooting in swamp hot New Orleans in the middle of the blistering summer. Many of those locales, which were blown out buildings or blown out malls, were in fact blown out malls that had no AC. So yeah, we didn't torture most of our audio people by having them, you know, booming me and walking around and taking care of stuff. So it's more of a technical issue due to the weather and not wanting to have any more of our crew catch heat stroke.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Did you drive that funny looking bus here?
No, I did not drive the funny looking bus last time. Unfortunately, California is a little bit prohibitive with chain guns on ice cream trucks.
Okay, wait, is there real ice cream on the truck?
Yes, there is real ice cream on the truck out there.
How much for one?
I am not selling it, but I'll tell you what. Maybe we'll go out there and we'll see if I can get you hooked up, right?
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I was wondering, when you ultimately retire, which of your rivalries do you think will go down in history?
I have no idea because that is really not something I decide, you know? It isn't. It's something that fans decide and whatever they look back on fondly and they enjoy because, you know, you ask any number of people, I'm sure they'll give you a different answer. But for me personally, I've always enjoyed the stuff I've done with AJ and Chris Daniels, but that's mainly because these are two men who, you know, I've come up through the business with throughout my career and see them going to their own heights and their own paths, and everybody's doing awesome, and that's all we could have asked for when we started out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey Joe, you've been a champion in multiple promotions. Like you said, you were a champion when they were starting. So how does that make you feel knowing that people trust in you, being the professional that you are, to build their brand? And with AEW, the same thing. I see like your championship reign has elevated that title because you have been a champion other places and because you're scary. I mean, you're. So I guess my question is, do you ever stop and smell the roses? Like, you know, I've made it here, or do you just kind of, it's just been your thing to just keep going and, you know?
It's been my thing to keep going, and it's because, you know, I didn't really get into this for, everybody does. I mean, you know,
You're on TV.
Obviously, you know, like, you know, I wouldn't have said no to people chanting my name, but but no, I think for me, you know, what I do in the ring and whether it be in Twisted Metal or, you know, in the acting world, or, you know, if I came up here and sang a tune, you know, I think my focus is on the fan. You know, I want you to have a great experience, and that's where my satisfaction lies, is in line, and the applause, it lies in the fact that I know that you had an enjoyable evening. The entertainment that you were provided was fun and great and left a lasting memory. And that for me is where the reward lies in pro wrestling.
Okay, so you may not see it, but me as a fan and us as fans, you're one of the greats.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you.
Joe.
No, sing the song, dog.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Joe, I saw you get down at Wally Mania. There's a little bit of hope, so I know you're a hip hop fan. The biggest topic right now, as you may know, Drake and Kendrick. Hypothetically, no holds barred, you're the special guest referee.
I'm the special guest referee.
Who wins?
I mean, Drake already got killed, right?
That's a lyrical. That's on the lyrical aspect.
Yeah, this is one man who's about to move up to Toronto saying this. But he's also a man that grew up on the West Coast, so I think, you know, we know where our loyalties lie. But yeah, that's just, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
All right.
Thank you.
Hello, Joe. Hello, Nick.
Hey.
Welcome to SoCal. So I'm sure you've heard this so many times before, but your triple threat match that you had with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels in 05 for TNA X Division title is arguably considered one of probably the greatest triple threat matches of all time. I actually just watched that match a couple days ago because I had to rewatch it. I was like, yeah, it still holds up to this day. And I just wanted to say, would you consider that probably like one of your best matches ever, or do you have like a particular match?
No, that match sucked, dog. That was the worst one I did, bro. No, of course, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, obviously. I think, yeah, and like I said, I look back on that match and I have a special fondness just because of the people involved, and it was, and at the time too for TNA, and it was the first time that they ever gave us an opportunity to really main event a pay-per-view, and made it more about us, so. It was kind of perfect time, perfect moment, perfect opportunity, and the perfect people to execute it. So, I'm very, very happy with it.
Yeah, I think for the rest of the team, we're all happy that we saw such an incredible, just incredible match. So.
Thanks, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you're killing it still, Joe.
Yeah, doing my best.
How you doing, Joe?
Hey.
I just want your thoughts on back in 2017 when you had your one-on-one match with Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
I believe most of us really wanted you to become world champion because besides Strowman and Reigns, you were the other legit threat against him. So, what are your thoughts on that match, and how is he behind the scenes while putting the match together?
I mean, it was a fun experience, the whole build up to it and everything with it. I love any opportunity I get to work with Paul Heyman. A very brilliant mind, obviously. I'm saying nothing that nobody else has already said to the hills a million times. But, and also just a guy who, we harbor a tremendous amount of respect for each other. So, he helped make that a really, really dynamic thing. And then Brock is just a guy who, he's out there to have people get in his face. He's looking for it to be a tense situation at all times, and I have a horrible habit of starting fights whenever I can. So we clicked really well. So yeah, I mean, and obviously, Brock's a kind of a once in a generation athlete, and anytime we got a chance to get in there, we did our best to show the world that we wanted to kill each other. So yeah, it all worked out.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Thanks. Hey.
So I was wondering, when you were younger, or did you watch wrestling when you were younger? If so, who did you look up to, and what made you want to be a wrestler?
So I did watch wrestling growing up. It was kind of the only thing that I think my family watched together as a sporting event because we all had different teams we liked. So I have fond memories of that. A lot of time with other family members spent around watching wrestling. So obviously coming up here in California, it was mainly WWF at the time. We didn't get too much world class until cable became a thing, and then shortly thereafter it was that. And I remember really enjoying Arn Anderson for whatever reason. It might have been those sweet gold rimmed glasses and those short shorts he used to wear back in the day. No, I just enjoyed his kind of his persona, what he put out there, and he was just a very technically brilliant guy, and I always enjoyed watching.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Do you have a question? No. Okay. Hi, Joe. We're all family's big fan of yours.
Awesome.
So thank you for being here.
For sure.
And I definitely am by proxy. I will say we have your little action figure with a little towel, and I've been yelled at several times to not throw away that little towel.
Yeah, very important.
Of the outfit. So my son in particular, Sam over there, he's a little shy, but he's your biggest fan. My question is, growing up, or what advice do you have for some young man who is interested in maybe following your footsteps? And specifically, did you have any type of mixed martial arts or martial arts training growing up?
So I did judo growing up. I mean, that was kind of primarily the martial art that I learned as I was a kid. And I say this to all young people. Obviously finish school. I mean, first and foremost, without a shadow of a doubt, get your diploma. I hear this all the time, but I'm so committed to this. I want to devote all my time to it, and I don't. And I tell them all the time that's ridiculous. You can't be that devoted to it because I've been as devoted to this as you can be, and there's plenty of time for school, so relax. And so I'm a big proponent of that. Other than that, I say just get in the habit of physical fitness. You know, get into a gym, find out a workout routine. And I'm not saying you have to be a super athlete right off the bat. I'm saying you have to be familiar with the culture and understand, you know, you need to be strong physically and mentally to do what we do. And let's see, you know, if ands or buts about it, because, you know, if you go into this not with those two factors in your favor, you will both injure yourself mentally and physically. So I tell everybody, you know, come ready, come prepared, be an athlete, and, you know, be ready to listen.
Great advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
When does AEW end?
What's that?
When does AEW end?
When does it end? Ooh, when I say it does.
All right. Well, everybody's gamers now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't it gross? Remember when it was just us?
Which is more competitive, putting on the best show or beating somebody backstage in a game?
Oh, beating somebody backstage. I mean, there's way too much pride and trash talk before that happened.
Has it gotten to be that big backstage?
Oh, massive. Yeah. I mean, there's text groups dedicated to the detriment of all of our egos and sanity. So, there's a big crossplay issue going on right now where, you know, guys pretend they know how to do it so they don't have to get out of matches. Yeah, but we're not standing for that. We're gonna get them out.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
Hey, so I know you probably answered this question before, but what would be your last match? If you could pick the one opponent, the stipulation, the venue, what would be that one for you?
I just don't think of it in those terms. I don't know. I'm not egotistical enough to worry about my legacy like that. To me, at least. If I had to pick somebody that I'd like to be in the ring with a few last times, I mean, it'd probably be like a 6-man, and, you know, the majority of, you know, a good number of my friends on either side of that equation. But who those people are, I'm not going to say, because I won't give them the benefit of knowing I love them that much. But yeah, I mean, it would be something along those lines. Cool.
Does anybody else have any other questions? If so, this is your chance to, come on over. Good, doing good, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, guys, feel free to take your chance and come up and get your question in.
So when you play as King Shark, have you killed Aquaman?
Have I killed Aquaman personally?
Yes.
Have you played the game?
I never played the game.
Okay, I don't want to spoil things. Let's just say, whenever I'm around, Aquaman has problems showing up.
Like when I get into it, I get to play as King Shark.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna kill Aquaman. Once I found out.
You know, kind of muscles them out of the market. It's a great strategy. I'm totally with you on it.
Yes. You have a question?
Yes, I have a question. What's up, Joe?
What's up? Oh, yeah.
So, Joe, you're the character from the Peacock's Twisted Metal. You're sweet. You could put the mask in. It looks like it's clown, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're looking, for example, like that, like where they're smashing a piece of smash name was A-Pop. You hear the new album, Ghost Code? It's out 1 month ago. Yeah, you like the song? It's called Flow, Heroes Are Calling, The Tide, Watch Over You, and more. How about you, Mr. Nis? You ever heard of Smashing the Pieces' new album, Ghost Code, 1 month ago? You should listen to it. I'm gonna freaking love this one. SJ and Mr. Nis Saucedo, you're the host.
Thank you so much.
Hey, they need to hire you for their new marketing manager. That's what.
I was gonna say, what is on the Samoa Joe playlist? Like, what do you listen to when you're at the gym working out and all that?
Oh, really just vile stuff I would never repeat. I get in a weird spot when I'm in the gym, man.
Hello again. And by the way, I forgot to say happy birthday.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask one last question, and it's basically about Anthony Mackie.
Okay.
What was it like working with Anthony Mackie as well as the crew for the show Peacock's Twisted Metal?
So Anthony is a really awesome dude, you know, behind the scenes. He's the type of guy that, you know, spends extra time. You know, a lot of guys come on set, especially when, you know, when you're a lead, and I don't say you do the bare minimum, but you know, you kind of come on, do what you got to do, and then you're back in your trailer with your assistant stuff. You know, Anthony was a guy who was very hands-on, stayed out of his trailer, was out there with every scene, helping out, doing what he can, add the notes where he could. So, you know, he's a guy that's very passionate, involved with whatever project he's doing, and it definitely showed in the show.
Oh, thank you very much, Joe, and thank you for letting me ask the two questions.
No worries, yeah.
As I said before, I am super excited for the next Twisted Metal because I can't wait until what my good friend Sweet Tooth, aka Needles Kane, is up to for the next season.
We need to hire him for our marketing.
Yeah. I am Calypso, and I thank you for playing Twisted Metal.
That's great. That's great. Hell yeah. Thank you so much. If anybody else wants to get their question in, now is their chance. Feel free to come on up. No? Oh, yeah. Yep. All right, we got one. Let's go. Yeah.
He's got his own microphone.
I know. I was going to say, that's awesome.
All right, so you've had a chance to play Sweet Tooth, you've had a chance to play King Shark. Is there any other like comic book, nerd adjacent sort of character that you feel you would want to take a crack at?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, I'd love to take a crack at Darkseid. I dig the character. I dig the malevolence of it. Yeah, I mean, as far as comics, kind of the only thing I've really been thinking of. But I mean, you know, I'm always up to suggestions if anybody's got any. So,
Darkseid's great.
Yeah, see, there we go.
That's it.
That's awesome. All right, thank you so much. So I do want to go ahead and get a couple more like fun, random questions in here, and some of these inspired me actually, because you know you're talking about how everyone's becoming a gamer now, right? And we know that there's a ton of wrestlers that are gamers. They're on Twitch, all of that. All right, Joe, let's be real. Who's the best? Who's the worst in terms of gaming?
I am the best at everything. Every creative. It's not even close, too. I mean, it's embarrassing how much better I am than everybody else at video games. The worst? Wow. Xavier Woods is a terrible video game player.
Kofi too.
Well, Kofi's his sensei, so hence he's even worse than him. AJ Styles can't play his way out of a paper bag. Orange Cassidy, you would think a guy like that's very cool on the exterior, on the outside, also terrible video game player. Adam Cole, rotten. But for the most part, I've always consistently been better than any of them and most anybody else in this industry. Thank you.
Do you have a preferred? Like, do you have a preferred game that you play, or a preferred? I'm not a gamer, for those of you who don't know. So I need all the knowledge I
aside
can.
from being the greatest professional wrestler to play Tekken ever, which you can please feel free to put that on your Instagram and/or Twitter at any point in time today. Tag all the people I named before. Yes, you know, I think that's a big one. I know FIFA was really huge for a while with the guys.
Any Grand Theft Auto?
A little bit, you know, it's been a while. You know, a lot of us stopped participating because they don't put out any new updates. So, yeah, we're kind of at an impasse with Grand Theft Auto. But yeah, we get it in whenever we can, and yeah, a few projects here on the horizon which I can't talk about, which will be pretty cool coming up here. But yeah, video games are great, and everybody should play them. And everybody's a gamer now, so quit acting like it's some special elite class.
All right, well, when you're playing AEW Fight Forever, for example, do you play as yourself or do you play as somebody else on the roster?
Well, I want to win, so I play as myself. I can play as other people if I want to lose, but you know, then we're not really playing. So yeah, like if I'm playing, you know, my sons and I'm trying to be nice and go easy on, I'm like, oh, look at me, I'm this other guy, Kenny Omega.
Oh man. All right, I want to go ahead and get into the category because I always think this category is kind of fun, especially when it comes to road trips. That's what I want to get at here. Road trips. Best road trip buddies.
Ooh.
Who are those?
R-Truth is by far one of the greatest road trip buddies of all time. He doesn't sleep. He drives continuously, has no issue with it whatsoever. knows every nook and cranny of this great nation, and always has a really weird conversation topic to bring up at any point in time. So yeah, it usually makes for pretty good drafts. So yeah, I say Truth is definitely up there. Christopher Daniels, is the closest thing to having a mother with you full time on the road, but like in the good way, not like the bothersome, always in your business way, but like making sure there's like, enough snacks in the car and everybody's cool. Like very, very responsible, very, very nurturing fella to have on the road. So those are my two picks.
Does he bring the hand sanitizer, Clorox wipes?
Yeah, he's trust me, the car's already spick and span before you get in. I mean, he's immaculate about his road trips.
I love that. All right, favorite road trip, like when you're on a road trip, when you're traveling, favorite place to go get some food? Like what's the place where you're like, oh, that's my spot right there?
There is no favorite place to go get food because usually when you get out of shows, you have no options. It's 11 to 1 o'clock in the morning. So basically you play the game of which Cracker Barrel and or Waffle House will I not be shot in? And that's what we do. And then we look at, you pull up because there's a Waffle House every other exit. So like you pull up to the Waffle House and you give it like, nah, we don't get shot in this one. We should go down the road. And then, you go down, you find a nice one which you seems safer. Like, maybe there's a cop in there. You never know. The things you look at.
I love that. All right, and I also want to ask in terms of worst travel story ever.
I mean, wow. There's a chapter that could be dedicated to that. I think worse just for the circumstances. It's going to be kind of counter, but I was overseas during 9/11. And stuck in Japan for 2 or 3 weeks, and just not knowing what was going on, and the complete unease of the whole situation, and then flying back into LA and getting off the flight and having machine guns pointed at you as you deplane. They hadn't figured it out yet, guys. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here. It was a new world, new thing we were figuring out. Trust me. National Guard were surprised they were there as much as we were surprised that they were pointing guns at us. So. Yeah, I mean, that was just a really weird, messed up time, and one that obviously I hope I never have to go through again.
Man, I was gonna say, I thought I was expecting like a really horrible TSA story, because I'm like, I can imagine, like, especially when you're traveling with like belts and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like, my favorite here at LAX, which was wonderful, was when I was a TNA champion. My bag would go through, and I'd go through and wouldn't come through the other side, and I'd be waiting on my bag. Oh, we're secondary security. I said, well, don't you normally do that out here, in front of me? He goes, hey, we're just running it again. And then I look over at this little partition, and I see all these flashes going off, and the guys are back. That was a while ago, but TSA was new back then too. They were still figuring things out.
I love that. All right. Okay, I'm gonna pick your brain here. Backstage, I've always wondered, who would you say in AEW, WWE, doesn't matter, any company, who are the people that are like the funniest, where you're like, oh my God, this person always makes me laugh?
Yeah, nobody really does. Nobody's really that funny to me. Mainly because I'm such a brilliant comedian and just really outshine most of them. But no, I mean, there's tons of people. I bring Truth. Truth is definitely one of the great characters of this industry, both in and out of the ring. Really everybody that I work with, and I really don't want to blow up a lot of their spots, but there's a lot of characters that you would not expect to be very, very funny to be some of the most hilarious guys in the locker room. And like I said, just out of protection for their image, I'm not going to tell you.
So the scariest guys are probably like the most lovable.
100%. You know what I mean? Like when you're scary, dude, trust me. It's when being scary comes easy, you need the relief of being somewhat comedic around people, because just being cowed away in fear all the time really sucks. So.
I love that. All right, so we're down to the last few minutes, and Joe, I do want to touch on, just like, right now hearing everybody come up, everybody brought up like different matches, different feuds, different opponents that you've had throughout your career. Like when you think back to your time in pro wrestling, and when you think back, I know we also had like the retirement question. When you get down to that, like, who do you think is going to be those people that you're just like, man, I'm so freaking happy I had these matches, I had these moments, and the ones that you really hold like dearest to you?
I mean, once again, I think a lot of the same people that I brought up before, getting the stuff I did with AJ and Chris, obviously Kurtz, Brock, Roman, You know, these are all people that I enjoyed tremendously working with, and that I have like a lot of great memories with. You know, guys like Homicide and ROH, which you know I think is kind of an unsung guy when it comes to, you know, a lot of guys who were defining people in that era of indie wrestling. Yeah, I mean these are all men that you know I very much am thankful I got to get in the ring with, and you know, thankful for the matches that we got.
I remember when I first interviewed you at the WBPC, and I think it was like for SummerSlam or something, and it was the first time you and I had ever met, and I saw you and I was like, oh my God. And it was kind of embarrassing, Joe, and I can tell you this now, because the first thing I said to you was, hi, nice to meet you, I really loved your match with Kenta Kobashi, they were my favorites. And then afterwards I was like, oh girl, you said that with way too much enthusiasm. But honestly, like, your work with Kenta Kobashi is some of my favorite matches that I go back and rewatch, and seeing you guys just like chop each other and all of that, I know is down in my book for one of my favorites.
No, and I appreciate that. You know, I think it's hard to describe why that match kind of hit the way it did at the time, but you know, this was a time when, you know, all Japan wrestlers and the Noah wrestlers didn't come to the United States. You know, Kenta Kobashi had not really stepped foot in America, let alone the East Coast, and you know, so many wrestling fans, so many hardcore wrestling fans who had followed Japanese wrestling, had watched this guy for years, had watched these amazing matches, and just wanted nothing more than to be able to experience that live. Well, you know, you take that rabid fan base, and you mix it with, you know, a great venue in the New Yorker, and just the usual rowdiness and craziness of the ROH crowd, especially back then. You know, it made for a really, really special night, and you know, people got to see the great Kenta Kobashi come to America and do what he does best. And I think being a part of that is fantastic, because it was such a great experience for the fans.
Man, and what I'll never forget, we got another question over here.
Just, you made me think of something. So we're mentioning all the people that you've wrestled before. Who gets the Joe stamp of approval? Who do we keep an eye on going forward? Who are some young guys that you've got your eye on that you think could be potentially the future, the next generation?
You know, when you really look at AEW, I think you see a lot of those people. You know, I've said this before, I think guys like Powerhouse Hobbs, I think, you know, you know, guys like Osprey, which go without saying, this is gonna be, you might as well pull out the roster page.
I know. Just be like, yes, no, yes, no.
You know, Hook, I think, you know, we have a guy, Bounty Keith, who we've just recently acquired. You know, I see him coming to his own soon. And I think, you know, we have a lot of younger talent. And I know, especially with my focuses, I want to find ways to bring them to television, give them more opportunities to be seen. Because I think they're tremendous talents. And I think that, you know, we need to be using to their maximum ability, and getting them out there in front of the fans and getting people to recognize and be familiar with them. So that's definitely going to be my focus here in the coming months.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so one final question here, unless anybody else has anything. Nope, okay, cool. So my last question to you is, Joe, we mentioned at the top of this is that you have been in the business now for over 2 decades. You have seen it, been there, done that. What is still left on your bucket list, whether it be in pro wrestling or outside of pro wrestling?
You know, there's still really awesome matches to be had. I think for me personally, you know, I'm very much focused on trying to create the matches that you know, people are dying to see, trying to create the environment where you know, people want to tune in and you know, see somebody either get beaten up or beat somebody's ass. And it's a pretty simple philosophy. It's one that I've kind of adhered to for most of my career, and it's what I'm looking forward to now. I mean, I just want to bring the matchups that kind of make fans salivate, that make them want to see 2 guys get in there and get after it, and that is my focus.
I love that, I love that. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Samoa Joe, for joining us here today and chatting with us about your career. Thank you so much to everybody here that came through. You guys are awesome, and I hope that you guys continue to enjoy Comic-Con Revolution.
Thank you, everybody.